Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome back to the Toonist English podcast. I am so thrilled to have you here with us today. I'm Lily, and today's episode is one of the most requested topics we've ever had. We are diving deep into the world of English job interviews.
Hello, Lily, and hello to all our wonderful listeners out there. I am Jack, and I have to say I am a little bit nervous just thinking about this topic. Interviews can be so scary, especially when you have to do them in a language that isn't your first one. My heart is already beating a bit faster.
Don't worry, Jack. You aren't alone. Even native speakers get incredibly nervous before an interview. It's a high-pressure situation. But today, we are going to break it down. We aren't just looking at one level. We are going to look at how to answer interview questions from A1 all the way to C1. Whether you are just starting your English journey or you are a seasoned professional, we have something for you.
That is great news, Lily. I think it's important to show people that they don't need to be perfect to get a job. They just need to be prepared. So, where do we start?
We start with the most common and sometimes the most difficult question of all. Tell me about yourself. It sounds simple, but it's the key we talked about in our last episode. It opens the door to the rest of the conversation.
I remember that, the key. So, Lily, if I am an A1 or A2 learner, a beginner, how do I handle a big question like that without getting lost in the grammar?
At the A1 and A2 levels, the goal isn't to use complex sentences. The goal is clarity. The interviewer wants to see that you can communicate basic facts about your life and your work history.
So I should keep my sentences short?
Exactly, Jack. Short and sweet. Let's try an A1 level response. Imagine you are applying for a job as a delivery driver or a shop assistant. You could say, "Hello, my name is Jack. I am from London. I am a very hard worker. I like helping people. In my last job, I was a driver for 2 years. I am happy to be here."
That sounds very manageable, Lily. It's mostly subject plus verb plus object. But what if I'm A2? That's slightly more advanced.
For A2, we start adding a little bit of the past tense and some basic connectors like because or so. For example, I have worked as a graphic designer for 3 years. I moved here last month because I wanted a new challenge. I used Photoshop every day in my old job, so I am very fast with it. I want this job because your company is very famous.
I like that. I want this job because your company is famous. It shows you have done a little bit of research. But Lily, what about the why should we hire you question? That one always stops me in my tracks.
For A2, Jack, you should focus on your skills and your punctuality. You could say, "You should hire me because I am never late. I learn new things very quickly. Also, I am a friendly person and I work well in a team. Simple, effective, and honest."
Okay, let's move up to B1. This is where many of our listeners are. They can speak well, but they want to sound more professional. They want to move away from "I am good" to something more meaty.
You hit the nail on the head, Jack. At the B1 level, we start using soft skills and more descriptive adjectives. Instead of just saying, "I am a hard worker," a B1 student might say, "I am highly motivated," or "I have a strong work ethic."
Work ethic. That's a great phrase. Can we try a B1 response to "What are your strengths"?
Sure, Jack. A B1 response would sound like this. "I believe one of my greatest strengths is my ability to solve problems. For instance, in my previous role, we had a difficult client who was unhappy with the project. I listened to their concerns and found a solution that made them stay with us. I am also very organized, which helps me meet every deadline."
Ah, I see what you did there, Lily. You gave an example. You didn't just say you are a problem solver, you proved it with a small story.
That is the golden rule of interviewing at the intermediate level. Always back up your claims with the "for example." It makes you much more believable.
What about weaknesses? Everyone hates talking about their weaknesses. If I say I'm lazy, I won't get the job.
Definitely don't say you're lazy, Jack. At B1, you should pick a real weakness that isn't a deal breaker, and then show how you are fixing it. You could say, sometimes I find it difficult to speak in front of large groups. However, I have been practicing by giving small presentations to my team, and I am becoming much more confident.
That is clever. It shows you are self-aware and that you are a lifelong learner. You're turning a negative into a positive.
Now we are reaching the B2 level. This is often the level required for office jobs, nursing, or engineering in an English-speaking environment. Here, the interviewer is looking for the STAR method.
Star? Like the things in the sky?
Not exactly, Jack. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. It's a structure for answering behavioral questions like, tell me about a time you had a conflict at work.
That sounds technical. How would that sound in a conversation?
Let's try it. Imagine I ask you about a time you worked under pressure. A B2 response would be, certainly, Lily. Situation, last year, our main designer went on sick leave right before a major product launch. Task, I had to take over all their projects while still finishing my own. Action, I prioritized the most urgent tasks and used a new project management tool to track my progress. I also worked an extra hour each day to stay ahead. Result, we launched the product on time and the CEO thanked me for my dedication.
Wow, Lily, that sounded so professional. It had a beginning, a middle, and a very happy ending. It shows you can handle stress and that you have leadership potential.
Exactly. At B2, you also want to use action verbs. Instead of saying, I did, use words like I managed, I coordinated, I implemented, or I developed. These words have more power.
I'm taking notes, Lily. Implemented instead of started, coordinated instead of helped. This is great. But what if the interviewer asks about the company? What do you know about us?
At B2, you should talk about the company's mission or recent news. You could say, I've been following your company for a while now, and I was very impressed by your recent expansion into the European market. I also share your commitment to sustainability, which is one of the reasons I am so eager to join your team.
Okay, Lily, let's go to the top, level C1. This is for people who want to be managers, directors, or high-level consultants. How do they separate themselves from the rest of the pack?
At the C1 level, it's about nuance, sophisticated vocabulary, and cultural fit. You aren't just a worker, you are a strategic partner. You use complex grammatical structures like conditionals or the passive voice effortlessly.
Give me an example of C1 vocabulary for an interview.
Instead of saying, I'm good at my job, a C1 speaker might say, I pride myself on my ability to foster a collaborative environment, or I have a proven track record of driving operational efficiency.
Foster a collaborative environment. That sounds like something a real leader would say.
It does. Let's look at the question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? At C1, you don't just talk about a promotion. You talk about the industry.
Go on, Lily. Let me hear the C1 version.
In 5 years, Jack, I envision myself in a leadership role where I can leverage my expertise to contribute to the company's long-term strategic goals. I am particularly interested in how AI is reshaping this industry, and I hope to be at the forefront of implementing those technologies within your organization to ensure we remain competitive in a rapidly evolving market.
Whistles, that was amazing. You used words like leverage, envision, forefront, and evolving. It shows you aren't just looking at the next paycheck, you are looking at the big picture. Lily, we've talked about the good stuff, but what happens when things go wrong? What if I don't understand the question or I make a grammar mistake?
That is such a good point, Jack. Even at C1, people make mistakes. The most important thing is how you handle it. If you don't understand, don't just say, what? Use a polite clarification.
Like, could you please rephrase that?
Exactly. Or, if I understand correctly, you are asking about my experience with team management. Is that right? This gives you a few seconds to think and ensures you are on the right track.
And what if I realize I just used the wrong tense? Should I stop and apologize?
No, Jack, keep going. Most interviewers don't care about a small slip-up. They care about your confidence and your ideas. If you stop and obsess over a mistake, you lose your flow. Just correct yourself quickly if you can, or just move on to the next point.
That's a relief.
I always thought a mistake meant the interview was over.
Not at all. In fact, showing that you can stay calm after a mistake is actually a sign of high emotional intelligence.
We are almost at the end of the interview. The interviewer asks, "Do you have any questions for us?" Most people just say, "No, thank you." Is that a mistake, Lily?
It's a huge mistake, Jack. Saying you have no questions shows a lack of interest. This is your chance to interview them.
So what should I ask? Should I ask about the salary right away?
Maybe wait for the second interview for the salary talk, Jack. Instead, ask about the culture or the future. For example, what does a typical day look like in this role? Or what are the biggest challenges the team is currently facing? Or even, how does the company support professional development?
I like the one about professional development. It shows you want to grow with them. It shows you're an investment, not just a cost.
Precisely. It ends the interview on a high note of curiosity and ambition.
Lily, this has been an incredible session. I feel much more confident now. I realize that whether I'm A1 or C1, I can still be successful if I use the right tools for my level.
I am so glad to hear that, Jack. Remember, an interview is just a conversation between two people who are looking for a good fit. Be yourself, be prepared, and don't forget to smile.
A smile goes a long way. Well, Lily, I think I'm ready to go apply for that senior bicycle instructor job I've been looking at.
I think you'll be the best bicycle instructor they've ever had, Jack.
Thank you, Lily, and thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. We hope these tips help you land your dream job.
Don't forget to check the show notes for a list of all the phrases we used today. We've categorized them by level so you can practice the ones that are right for you.
And please, if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a review or a comment. We love hearing your success stories. Did you get the job? Tell us.
Yes, please do. And if you have any questions about specific interview scenarios, let us know and we might cover them in a future episode.
Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep being brave.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.